All right, Wilson, give me my theme music. I don't want to vibe too hard on y'all today because we got business to do, man. We got to talk about the business. Hey, before we get down to the business, you know what, let me take this off. Before we get down to the business, I got to reintroduce myself. This is New Stuff TV, the untechnical tech channel, and your home for the best infotainment on YouTube. I am your host, Antoine. Which one of these phones is gonna live in my pocket, Richardson? Because today, that is the order of business. I got 5 phones here, man. Oh, this is a lot of phones. So these are all late model flagship phones, okay? And there's 5, and there's more than that out there. I mean, I don't even have an iPhone here, but iPhone won't be in this discussion because if you're trying to decide between an Android and an iPhone in the year of 2023, you lost in the sauce anyways, man. Everybody has their preference already, so we're not even gonna discuss iPhone today. It's just that there's 5 flagships here, and I really hate this because although some of you crazy cats walk around with like 2, 3, 4 phones in your pocket, I'm just a one phone kind of guy, man. And so I have to choose one that will reside in my pocket for the next, I don't know, maybe 6 months till the next one comes out. So let's get down to it, man. Starting with the oldest phone here, we got the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Yeah, I've recently been using this phone quite a bit until, of course, the S23 came out. But this was my phone for a long time, and I just assumed that I wouldn't go to a foldable phone because I tried the Galaxy Fold 3 and I didn't really like it. I thought it was a great phone and everything else, but it just wasn't the phone for me because it was just small things that did not really fit the bill for me. But then the Galaxy Fold 4 came out, and then I realized I really like this phone, man. This is a great form factor, and I feel like they kind of got it right. Like, it's not like perfect, but they pretty much got it right. I think I should at least turn it on. That tells you I ain't been using it today. That is off. I feel like they got it right because of the front screen, okay, and how it's positioned. It's like right in the center to where your thumb can get to either side equally, and the hinge isn't too big and stuff like that. So I feel like they got that right. The cameras are good, and the whole form factor with having a phone in your pocket and then a tablet when you need it, it really worked for me. But the one thing that is still missing for me is the almighty S Pen. There's nothing like, need to jot down a thought real quick or something and just whoosh, and then just writing it down, especially when you got this big screen. Yeah, they sell it separately and you gotta have a case with it and stuff like that. But no, it's not like having the old school Galaxy Note or the new S20s Ultras, Ultra editions. Until the OnePlus 11 showed up. Man, look at that thing. Look at that thing right there, man. Look at that camera setup. Look how, I don't even wanna get into how lovely I think this thing looks. Although we will a little bit later in the video. This phone is a beast in a lot of ways. It's a beauty of a beast, or beast of a beauty, whatever you want to say, but it is also a battery beast. I have literally charged this thing from 15% to 100% in about 22 minutes. That's less time than it takes for me to comb my hair in the mornings. Anyways, but it's also a battery champ because a battery will last me all day, right? I can unplug it at 6 a.m. I can use it all day and still wake up the next morning with about 25, 35, somewhere between 25 and almost 40%. That's redonkulous, man. It performs extremely well. OnePlus has never been on my radar as far as phones go. I'll be honest with you, because I was such a Samsung fanboy, but I saw this one, I was like, dude, I gotta get that phone. So I got the OnePlus 11 and it resided in my pocket, and I was having a hard time going back to the S22 Ultra because this one is just such a badass phone, man. It's got a fantastic camera. It's not all that for video. It's not as good as the Ultra for video, but for pictures, oh man, this thing is an absolute beast with that Hasselblad setup in the back. and the holdability, you know, the smoothness of the phone, the pocketability, the one-handability, like the phone is just like the perfect size, perfect curvatures. And I just hate it when the S23 Ultra came out, because now we got the S23 Ultra to talk about. And yeah, I got mixed feelings about this thing, but I don't want to leave this one out right here. This is the Google Pixel 7 Pro. Now, full disclosure, the Google Pixel 7 Pro is an outstanding phone, but it is running pure, raw Android, uncut, unadulterated, just raw Android. And that is not my thing, man. I know I'm one of the weird people. I mean, truth of the matter is I kind of grew up on Samsung's TouchWiz, and then that evolved into Samsung's One UI. And then I experienced the glory of this, what they have on Oxygen OS, what is this, 13 on the OnePlus. And it just makes me feel like Android, regular pure Android is just, it's not boring. It's just, it feels like it's missing some pieces. So, you know, the Google Pixel 7, I'm really not a fan of the look or the shape. It operates extremely well. It's a great phone. It's got a fantastic camera for video and taking pictures, but the operating system really just kills me as far as like base level Android. But let's get back to the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Look at it. It is a beautiful phone. Yeah, but if I took the skin off, I mean, you would not be able to just, you know, figure out which one was which if you looked at the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra. Yeah, I feel kind of slighted or burned by Samsung, because I feel like, you know, they're selling us the same phone that they sold us last year. You know, Samsung has managed to out iPhone the iPhone. Like Apple was notorious for just slightly upgrading the phone and then telling you it was the most spectacular thing in the universe. Realistically, all they did was change a couple of dimensions so your cases wouldn't fit. Your cases don't fit, and you know, they might bump up a few specs or something like that. But then they really just start focusing on the camera. And that's what I really want to talk about first, the camera. It seems like they're not really necessarily selling phones these days. They are selling us cameras with phones attached, because that's all they ever talk about. Phones, then secondary might be battery life, and then you got, like, you know, how smooth the operating system is with the Snapdragon 8 second generations and all this stuff. But yeah, man, cameras, that's where we're at today. So I'll just go ahead and start this segment off by saying the S22 Ultra camera is the best one in this particular lineup. The worst camera, although it is still spectacular, is the Galaxy Z Fold 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of eliminate that one right now, because it's just not as good as the rest of them, especially in unideal lighting conditions. And especially like zoom too, because that's when I started using the S22 Ultra, because I felt like I needed that zoom from time to time to get a good shot from far away. Now, in regards to the S23 Ultra, like I said, it's the best one we got here on this table, but yeah, give me more, man. Give me more. Like, the cameras are there already. So as far as the S23 Ultra, yep, it is the absolute best one. We're packing in 200 megapixels here, man. That's a lot of megapixels. That's just absolutely just too many, to be honest with you. We got like 15 different camera settings here as far as taking pictures, and then they kind of mirror those settings or those features in the video profile, such as like portrait video and stuff like that. The selfie camera is clutch, but the selfie camera is also clutch on the S22 Ultra. These cameras are damn near identical until you start really nitpicking apart things. I don't know, man. I mean, we're talking about, if you trade this one in, you're getting like 500, maybe 550 on this thing, to pay about, after tax and everything, about $721 for an S23 Ultra. Personally, I'm not sure that's worth the upgrade. As a regular citizen who doesn't do YouTube for a living, I don't think it's worth it. If you've already got the S22 Ultra, just stop, you know, wait till the S24 comes out or something like that. So, but if you're in the market for, you know, upgrading from something else, absolutely, this is gonna be the best camera you can possibly find on the cell phone market. Next up on the list for pictures, I'm talking still pictures. We're talking about the OnePlus 11. This phone is a beast. We're talking, The nighttime shots, man. These nighttime shots, super clutch. Takes fabulous photos of food, especially. Man, you know what? How come you haven't watched my video about this phone right here, the OnePlus 11? I did a great job on that video, and you know, you should probably watch it. So I'm gonna just put it here somewhere so you can click on it and go watch it, because this phone is fantastic and the video is just as fantastic as the phone. And I'm really upset and kind of hurt by the fact that you ain't watched it yet, because it has terribly low views. So go watch that video on the OnePlus 11. Anyways, let me get back to this camera. I just loved it, man. Like I said, I just love like pulling out of my pocket, because I like, you know, it's just a very pocketable and holdable phone. You just double tap on that power button and get your pictures going, man. And it just takes lovely pictures. Video, it takes great video, but it is not as good as something I would find in a Samsung phone, which was, I ain't gonna say it was disappointing. It's just that I know I wasn't getting the best when it came to video. So it is what it is. So let me just put these things in order for you from like, you know, best to not as best. And that would be the S23 Ultra, S22 Ultra for camera and video, or still pictures and video. And then we got best camera here, or number 3 here, or I guess these would be tied actually, but this one is definitely the best. And then number 3 here for pictures would be the OnePlus 11, and then number 3 or 4, I've lost track, but last would be the Google Pixel 7. But if we're talking about video, we have to change up things into this order right here. Now let's talk about the battery champ here, which is the OnePlus 11. Never in my life have I had a phone that lasted like 36 hours. This phone could last you about 36 hours before you need to charge it. It does not have wireless charging. Big freaking deal, man. By the time you get this thing to 15%, if you have that included charger, by the way, this is the only phone here that comes with an included charger. Mine came with a 100-watt charger, which charges this thing from 15% to 100% in 22 minutes. Like, you don't need a wireless charger for that. Like, you just, and it's just, I don't know, go take a dump or something. Next thing you know, your phone is full, okay? So stop complaining about the wireless charging or lack thereof. This is the battery champ of all time in phone history. This is it right here. And it also manages the battery very well. So this is gonna be the battery champ. There is no discussion about it. But number 2 is definitely the S23 Ultra. I charged this thing up, pulled it off the charger at about 6 a.m. and then I can't say it lasted me all day. Well, it did last until the next morning, but it was like almost dead, like less than 15%. And to me, that gives me a lot of anxiety. Actually, once I get to 30%, I'm starting to get a little battery anxiety. But as well as it does, I got like almost like 4 hours and 47 minutes worth of on screen time with this phone, which was spectacular. That's a good battery management, right? So we're getting a full day's worth of use out of it, just like we are with the OnePlus 11. We just can't go that whole 36 hours like the OnePlus 11 can. But the problem with this is, while it does have wireless charging, it takes, I think from 15%, it takes about 1 hour and 8 minutes to charge it up. Now, that's not the worst charging time I've ever seen, but being that they do not give you a charger in the box to, like, you know, get that amperage up a little bit, to charge it a little bit faster, we're talking about 1 hour and some change, man. Like, sometimes you might not have that. Now, even though 50% might get you through most of your day, I'd still rather be on full. A full tank is always gonna be better than a half tank. Next up on battery life would have to be the Fold 4. The Fold 4 surprised me with battery life, because we're talking like 3 screens really here. You know, you got one right here, and then you got 2 split ones right here that end up being one. It's a big screen. You know what I'm saying? So if you're punching on this thing all day, using the camera, scrolling through your apps and stuff like that, playing games, taking pictures, like, yeah, man, I would think you use up a lot of battery, but this thing is actually better on battery than the S22 Ultra is. I was very shocked by that, especially considering this has the bigger battery. It's just good with battery management. So I guess by the time the Fold 4 came out, they had done better with the battery management, and then they ported that over to the S23 Ultra. But yeah, next on the list would be the Galaxy Z Fold 4 as far as battery life and battery management, and then you got the S23 Ultra. It's probably, it's a close second to the worst battery life when we talk about the Pixel 7 Pro, because this phone does not last me all day, okay? It'll get through like, let's say 80% of the day, which is great. You know, you just need to top that thing off before, you know, the end of the night, or just add some juice to it. But we're not talking about all day phones when we pick up the S22 Ultra and Google Pixel 7 Pro. Now, when it comes to performance, you can't go wrong with any one of the 5 of these phones. They all perform extremely well. I guess the one that gets the most heat as far as performance would be the S22 Ultra. In the summertime, I noticed, outside it will get a little extra warm. But this phone right here, it has to actually be the best performer because this thing is super smooth. You cannot heat this phone up. The OnePlus 11, it's like really hard. Even when it's charging with that 100-watt charger, it barely gets warm. So this phone's performance would probably be the best. And I can't say I've had the S23 Ultra long enough to really make that comparison. So take this with a grain of salt. But to be honest with you, man, performance across the board is pretty much even with the OnePlus edging out everything else. And like I said, I don't have enough data, experience collecting the data on the S23 Ultra, but you're not gonna find any crashes, glitches and stuff like that, stutters, they all have great screens. But I will tell you that the best looking screen so far is the S23 Ultra. Number 2 would be the S22 Ultra, but they all have great screens. So it really doesn't matter which phone you pick up in regards to refresh rates and performance and stuff like that, gaming and running multiple apps, they're all gonna perform extremely well. Which leads us to a couple of very deciding factors. And a big one for me is ecosystem. And this is where I feel like Apple has done the absolute best job within the phone and mobile market is ecosystem. Samsung is a very close number 2 because, within the past 4 years, I feel like they just stepped up and leveled up to what Apple is doing on their side of things because they've created an ecosystem for us. We have smartwatches, we have TVs, connectivity, we have the Galaxy laptops now, and then we have smart things. I have smart things in my home. My entire home is a smart home, and I use a combination of Google and smart things. I really can't find that in these other phones. Now, if you have a Google or pretty much an Android phone, you're already attached to Google, but Google is only limited to so much. There's a lot of things I can't do with Google that I can do with Bixby. Yes, I said Bixby. Bixby and smart things. Bixby is a very well integrated virtual assistant that a lot of us have not given a solid chance because it can do a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, Google can't do this. I have all of my Samsung phones pretty much programmed through Bixby that when I leave my house, it's monitoring me. Big brother's always following you, right? But when I walk into this studio, my phone goes into silent mode so I won't forget when we're shooting these videos. And that way my phone's not buzzing and ringing and stuff. It goes into silent mode. And once I leave this location, it picks right back up into notifications on. Okay, Bixby's listening to me right now. But it picks right up into the regular notifications and stuff so I can hear it again. So that's something that Google can't do. It's just what it is. So when it comes to ecosystem, man, I gotta give it to Samsung, man. You can't go wrong with a Samsung phone when you're talking about ecosystem. And I'll put these little champions right here. They're all the same as far as ecosystem. They all play very well with the tablets, the laptops, the TVs, smart things, Bixby, all of that stuff. Samsung is killing it on ecosystem. But here's the thing, man. It's always going to be up to you. But for me, ecosystem, this is the major decision. But if I could make my perfect phone. Now, I'm going to ask this for you in the comments. Answer me. I need to know what would be your perfect phone because I'm about to make my perfect phone right now out of these 5. Here we go. In the sense of form factor, I would definitely go with what OnePlus has done here. This is the absolute best phone as far as form factor here, provided we're not talking about a foldable. But this is the best one as far as form factor. It's definitely pocketable, holdable, and usable even with one hand if you got moderately sized hands. Look at that camera bump right there. If you got to have a big ass camera and a whole bunch of them, do this. You know what I'm saying? Make them pretty. Don't just make them boring like Samsung has done. And, don't have this big old thing, this top heavy thing like Google has done. OnePlus did that right as far as aesthetics. This is the most beautiful phone here, hands down. And even though they did a lazy, boring job with this camera setup here, they knocked it out of the park with camera quality. We got 200 overkill megapixels here shooting pictures of Saturn and Uranus and stuff. You can do that if you want to, man. The movie or the video is great, so I'm definitely taking the camera, snatching it up out of here and putting it into the frame of the OnePlus 11. Now, you should already know this. I'm snatching the battery out of the OnePlus 11 and, well, I'm putting it back into the case of the OnePlus 11 because this is the battery champ, man. I need that long battery life and super stupid fast charging that they have in this thing. Now, when it comes to the screen, I'm definitely rolling with the S22 and S23 Ultra. I need that super high refresh rate for that buttery smoothness, man. Look at how saturated and just glorious that screen is. You can't get enough of looking at it. Content is always going to be absolutely stunning when you're looking at it on a Galaxy phone. And I'm definitely taking the Samsung ecosystem out of all of these because Samsung has actually built it out. It's like the only Android phone that has really truly built out an entire ecosystem, from wearables to like home stuff, you know, home integration and laptops and tablets and stuff like that. Gotta have that Samsung ecosystem. Now, as far as like, you know, the software, being that Android is the software, right? I really, really love what OnePlus has done with Oxygen OS as far as Android goes, because like I said, pure Android to me is ultra boring, and that's what I'm getting in the Pixel. I mean, it does what it can to be pure Android, but I do feel like OnePlus has definitely filled in the gaps that I was lacking, or most of the gaps that I was lacking in pure Android, and they put it in Oxygen OS, and they put their own little stank on it. But when it comes to upgrading an OS such as Android, Samsung has definitely done it, like, you know, something to where I really like it. We're talking about organization here, and that's what I think the OnePlus 11 and Oxygen OS lacks, is organization and ecosystem, and you get that here with the Samsung phone. We're talking about folders and your app drawer and organization on your side windows and stuff. When you slide the side panel over, you got all that organization there. You do have a version of it here on the OnePlus, but it's not as good as Samsung has done. I appreciate it that it's there, but it's just not as good. I hope they improve upon this in the future phones, because I would definitely be looking forward to using a OnePlus 12. This is actually the only phone here that doesn't call itself a Pro or an Ultra or Plus or Plus Plus. It's just the OnePlus 11, and I really like that too. So I wish that phone companies would kind of just, you know, stop making so many phones and just make one really good one. But if I had to build a perfect phone, you see what you're getting here. It's gonna be like a OnePlus 11 and Samsung Galaxy S20 something Ultra love child Frankenstein. You know, that's what it would actually be. But I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff, but what I do know is it's really hard to choose which phone I'm gonna be using, because I got this new beast right here, great on the battery, great operating system, but I'm kind of angry because I feel like I just bought the same phone that I had last year. But this baby right here, the OnePlus 11, dang man, it is hard, so freaking hard. So that's my first world problems right now, figuring out which one of these flagship phones to put in my pocket and just walk up out of here. Y'all keep being good to each other, and I'll see you when I see you. All right, so let me get this straight, man. You made it through this whole video from beginning to end without hitting the like button, you didn't hit the subscribe button, and you didn't even bother hitting the notification bell, so you'll be alerted when I get some new stuff up in here. I see how it is though. It's always the one closest to you. You keep on doing you, boo-boo. See you when I see you.